Right, middle of June, a couple of new updates hopefully this week. Got this week off, got no business collections, so hopefully I'll get a few bits and pieces done on the old girl. Can't remember what I did in the last video, so I've managed to fit the relocation kit thingamajig on the side of the Dizzy, the amp kit, as per there. That's got to be bolted onto the chassis. Dizzy needs to go back in today. I say I'm hoping to get a few hours on it. I should get at least 2 hours on it today, so that should be quite good. Probably make a start on taking that water pump off as well while I'm here. Get that done. That'll be another job out of the way. I've got a new little gadget, which is a battery operated what is it? It's a battery operated soldering iron, so I'm going to test that out. And I've also got a new bit of kit for the battery, because the battery keeps running down on this, because obviously I keep turning it over. So this is the original Hankook battery, but yeah, I've got a solar panel for it. Now this is the second one. I've got one on the recovery truck as well, and it's absolutely brilliant. I'll put a link in the description of where I got this off of Amazon. I think they were only, I want to say $29.99 delivered. Obviously with Prime coming up end of this month, it might be a good time to get one, but it's got a controller unit as well, which is brilliant, so it won't overcharge it. So yeah, I've got one on the recovery truck, one on this, and that's pretty much fully charged, that battery now, and it's only been on there, what, a week, so happy days. Right, good news. Amplifiers redone, all mounted out the way. I've tidied the wiring up. I've got to tidy that relay holder and shorten that wiring. I've got to also do something with that as well. It did actually fire up and it sounded a bit better. I think I might have had 6 and 3 HT leads around the wrong way, not quite sure, but we will check that a bit later. I'm not doing much with the Dizzy at the moment. I'm not putting the clamp back or anything. This has got to come off. I'm going to make a start on that water pump. While I've got the water pump off, I'm going to turn it over, double check the timing, just to make sure that the timing was right before I took the Dizzy apart, because obviously I've put that back together as per what it was before, but I don't know whether that's right or not. So while I've got everything stripped out, I'm going to set the timing marks on the bottom pulley, double check the rotor arm, and that'll be another thing ticked off the list. I've got new power steering belt, new alternator belt. The only issue I'm worried about is these bolts, because obviously that's had a water pump at some point, but having done these in the past, I know, and I was doing my 200 TDR as well, I know these do shear off, so I'm hoping I can get that off and on again today without snapping anything off, which would be nice. Yeah, still stuff like that I want to do. That bracket down there, I want to take that off and reseal it, put a gasket on it. Yeah, I do wonder if it's got an air leak. I'm going to take all the plenum off at some point as well. That's going to be redone. Yeah, we're getting there a little bit. Now that that's all finished in that corner, I can bolt that washer jet bottle back down. I need to do the hose. Well, I need to order the silicone pipe for that as well. Right, another tip when you're doing these viscous fans, they are a reverse thread, so back to front, so you need to be hitting it clockwise to untighten it, loosen it. Now that spanner is fucking old as the hills. Who's it made by? Garrington Magpie. Well, it's English, I know that much. What's the size? 11/16 Whitworth, or 3/4 Whitworth, I don't know which one. 3/4 a bit loose, so it's 11/16 Whitworth. Fits on there really nice and tight. Don't be one of those that fucking use a cold chisel and then round the fucking nut off, because you're not doing yourself any favours, because if you've got to go back there, you're never going to get the fucking viscous fan off. So yeah, don't be that fucking guy. Let's see if I can. They're gonna go on there. Let's give it. And she's off. Easy as that. Just got to obviously miss your fucking HT leads and your dizzy cap. But yeah, get yourself a 11/16 Whitworth, put a bend in it, club hammer, happy days, job's done. Right, all the bolts are off now, so this is a rough guide of the lengths. So starting here at say like 12 o'clock, 50mm with 11mm head, 50mm with 11mm head, 34mm with 11mm head, 32mm with 11mm head, 118 with a 13, 128 with a 13, 40mm 11, 50 11. That one is the tensioner. 50mm. No, that's wrong actually. Hang on, let me just measure that. Right. So, go on, scan. That one there is one 50mm 13, 40mm 11, 140 13, 50mm 11, 40mm 13, 40mm 13, 40mm 11. So that's the lengths, the sizes of how this goes on this water pump. I think the early ones with the long nose stub at the front with the long nose pulley are different. So this will only be for the 3.8 EFIs. I can't tell you what the other ones are because I haven't got any water pumps for them at the moment, but if I do get them in, I might take that 3.9 off. I don't know whether that's the same or not. Right, day two. Already been out here for about half an hour. Whipped the water pump off. It's not an original item, which is a bit, well, I didn't expect it to be honest. Gasket was leaking down the bottom, and also I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this, but bearing is absolutely fucked. So yeah, it's a non-original item, was leaking out of the weep hole as well. Now, I always like to use OE items. However, due to the age of this, and the fact that there's not a lot available, I went with a Borg and Beck item, which normally I wouldn't do anyway, because Borg and Beck got bought out by, I think it was First Line or BGA, or BGA distribute them. I've not had much luck with BGA over the years. I tend to stay away from, so that's the part number I'm using for the 3.9 EFI, 3.5 EFI. Looks an alright pump. It's nice and tight. It's got a cast alley impeller. Machining's alright. There's no high and low spots, which is quite good. Obviously it comes with a gasket as well. I've already put it on to the I've already put the viscous fan on to check the thread. It's always worthwhile doing that because you don't know what they're like out the factory. So that definitely fits. What else? The only other thing I would suggest is So these bolts that I put on the cardboard yesterday, I've run them in the, as I lose the spring washer, I put them in the wire wheel bench. I've got a bench grinder with a couple of wire wheels bolted to them. Just clean them up. I mean, if I was set up in the other workshop, I'd run them in the vapor blaster and then replate them, but half the machinery's started to be packed away now, so I can't be arsed with that. So yeah, wire wheeled them, just got all the grease and shit off of them. Probably a bit overkill running a tap through the holes. Obviously I've got to clean that up, get all the gasket material off. I will be putting some form of sealant on the water pump gasket itself. I'll show you that in a minute once I've got it sorted out. And obviously I want to double check the timing as well on the bottom pulley. So I'm going to do that in a minute. I've got a new, I think it's a 34mm. I'll have to check that. I think it's a 34mm deep impact socket. Just because I didn't have one, and none of the Whitworth Imperial ones that I've got out of Dad's kit fitted. So right, Lee's made another balls up. That new socket I bought, didn't fucking need it. For some reason I thought it was a 34mm. It's not, it's a 24mm, so I can actually turn that pulley over by hand. Never mind, here's what it is. Got a new socket I suppose for the toolbox. As you can see, I've cleaned the timing marks up on the bottom pulley. Just roughly marked them. One of these, I buy these in bulk from Temu now and again, to be honest. I use a lot of them for timing marks, just to, you know, just show up on the pulleys and that as a visual guide. I've cleaned the water pump housing up as well. I mean, doesn't need to be clinically clean like, you know, a block and a head gasket if you're, you know, doing a head gasket replacement. Water pump is just a normal soft gasket. I will be putting a little bit of sealant on there, but not fucking loads of it. It's mainly just to hold the gasket in place while I put the pump in. Just a standard old blader do, or if you're feeling really plush, I've got a load of these. They're tungsten scraper blades. Got them off Amazon cheap. They're perfect for getting old gasket material off. I use them for engine blocks and cylinder heads before I start doing any machining, just to get the bulk of the material off. They're quite a good investment. I think they're only like £8 each. Get them in different sizes. So yeah, I've got to go and sort some L-ring Durco sealant out, just to put that gasket on. And also, obviously that's been, it's either worn around that part with the bearing gone on the pump, or the it's been cavitating on that inner housing there. So just clean it out with a bit of brake cleaner really. Like I say, it doesn't need to be clinically clean. Just make sure you got all the water off, all the coolant off the bottom before you put the sealant and the gasket on, so it seals nice. And yeah, it should be good to go. Right, day 3 in the Big Brother house. Water pump's on, although I suspect I'll be taking it off again. Before I put the belt on, turned it over, and as I suspected with the cheaper water pump makes, the impeller is touching the casing on the inside, and it makes such a fucking racket. So I've sourced another one that's turning up. It was all bolted on before I realised it anyway, because obviously you've got to do all the bolts up, get the gasket tight against the thing. I did think about putting a bigger gasket on it, but it's just shit, I think, shit quality. So yeah, Borg and Beck water pumps are a big no-no. What else? Right, so I did try and fire it up this morning, battery flat, so that's going to have to go on charge for a little bit. Now, that's saying, what, 7-8 PSI on that gauge. Monday morning, when I came and had a look at it, that was up at 40. Right, yesterday, I fired it up, was fucking around with the timing and other bits and pieces, and it dropped right down to 0. Yet this morning I fired it up, there wasn't anything on there at all. I fired it up, it went right up to, I think it was about 38, 36, and then it's just dropped right down to 7-8 PSI. So I'm pretty much convinced either I've got a leaky injector that's staying open, or the fuel pump regulator or the fuel pressure regulator, I should say, is fucked. So I'm in the process of taking the plenum off. As you can see, lots of silicone all over the bolts, everything. I'm just going to take the rest of the wiring off and see if I can just lean that out the way. And then today's job was going to be soldering, but I'm pretty much committed to this now. I just want to take this plenum off. I want to take the fuel rail off. I want to check a few bits and pieces, and if possible I might try and get the fuel injectors out. I've got another set, but I haven't bench tested them yet, so if I can get all 16 out, test them, and then kind of pair them up so that they're all roughly the same. The bench testing machine I've got will do like a non-voltage test, which is like a pressure test, so I can put it right up to whatever pressure I want and see if they're dribbling out. So yeah, that's what we're going with today. Right, so this is where we are. I've taken the plenum off. Absolutely shit tons of silicone sealant. Not actually doing anything, and the same on the bottom half of the plenum. So I'm going to say it's going to have an air leak somewhere, which is why they aisled all over the place. Not liking the look of the fucking wiring. So I'm going to take the fuel rail off in a minute. I'm going to take the fuel pressure regulator off. I'm half tempted to buy an aftermarket one, but I need to get a half decent one. That's the only thing. I know I'm umming and ahhing whether just to rip this fucking wiring out, start again on that other one that I've got, de-tape it, and just go from there, because obviously the TPS wiring's shit, the coolant temperature sensor wiring's shit. I don't know what the injector wiring's like. It's obviously been apart, had a head gasket at some point. Whether or not they've damaged the wiring putting it back together, I don't know. I can't remember if the receipt I've got is before or after the running issue. But yeah, it's not looking great. I'm kind of glad I've done this now, because at least I know where I'm going with it. So yeah, I might just take all the wiring off. I'm kind of going towards that, to be honest. I think that's the way we're going to have to go with it, because at least I know it's been done then. I mean, at this point, if I had more time, I'd just take the whole fucking inlet manifold off, the heads, everything, and just redo everything, because I'm a bit like, if this is the state of the top end, what's the head gaskets, the rockers like, and everything else? But yeah, I haven't got time to be doing that, so that'll be a later date once I've moved. There we have it. What is that? 1, 3, number 3 injector. Pissing out fucking fuel everywhere. Obviously I couldn't see that because it was over the plenum. So I'm pretty sure that's where my fuel pressure's going. Well, good news, I suppose. Right, so got the fuel rail off. I'm not even going to bother with these injectors, because looking at some of the other fuel hose on the tops of them, they don't look anything, you know, I don't even want to fucking try testing them, to be honest. I think I'll bend these. The other set that I've got, I'm not even going to use them either. I'll keep them for spares. I've just managed to get a complete one-piece fuel rail with 8 injectors that have been tested, that come with a certificate off eBay, £66 delivered. I'm not going to fuck around. Comes with the base plates, new rubbers, everything. They can go on. I've got a new Bosch pressure regulator coming. So literally, I've just stripped this down. The only bits I'm going to be using is that. I'm going to replace all the hoses on the other fuel rail, and I'm also going to be using my inline pressure gauge and the vacuum hose, and that is it. Everything else can be binned. So at least I know it's all been replaced. It's all going to be good. Happy days. Right, just got the new loom out the box. I might say new loom, it's second hand, but it's better than the one I've got. Doesn't appear to be any breaks, which is good. I'm going to take these injectors off in a minute just to make sure that all the connectors are all right. I've noticed that there is one wire there which has been snipped off, but I'm pretty sure that is for the signal to the ECU from the coil, so that's not a biggie. And I've also noticed that TPS connector is good as well, although the one I've got on the actual TPS connector on the vehicle is shagged, so I might have to snip that off. And I've got a kit that I bought with different connectors, so I might have to put an aftermarket connector on that just so I can take it in and off if I've got to take the inlet manifold off at another point. You know, some of the boots aren't great, and that wiring's snipped off there, so what's that? That'd be an injector. I don't know, I might, well, once I've got everything apart, I'm going to go through, double check all the wiring. If I need to snip it and solder some new cable in, it's not a problem. I've got new cable. I've got heat shrink. So basically at the end of this, I just want a loom that isn't broken and it's ready to bolt in. I've detaped the loom and it's actually in really good nick, much better than what I thought it was going to be. I've got two bits, well, three bits. I've got that connector there, which is a little bit iffy. There was another one somewhere. Where is it? So basically there's two fuel connectors that I've got to repair. I might do something with that earth because it looks a little bit frayed, so I might change the earth connectors. And the only other thing I've got to do is those are the three wires for the relay holder on the side of the passenger side turret where the airflow meter bolts onto. Only one of those is used for the signal for the ECU. So yeah, stripping it down, I mean, this is probably the easiest wiring loom for an engine conversion that I've seen. Probably on par with like the Z-Tech E's that I used to do back in the 90s. So I don't really get involved with wiring too much, but over the years I have done a few engine conversions in my own Escorts and my rear-wheel drive Cosworth. But yeah, this is basically like if you've got a decent loom with no plugs missing, this is probably the easiest loom to do an engine conversion, because all you've got is an ECU connector, 3 relays. That is all the engine bay loom that you need for all the sensors and bits and pieces, and then you've got one multi-plug, and that's it. And obviously the earth cables that go. So they, on my old man's 3.5 EFI, what was it, a D reg? It was a D or an E reg that he had, the emerald green one. I always thought, well, his vehicle, when I'd done the head gasket, they were bolted onto the back of the near side cylinder head. There's like a stub that comes out the back of the head. I always thought they went on the earthing point. On mine, they're bolted to the actual cylinder head inside the V, and I'm not sure whether that's right or not. I'll have to do a bit of research on that. I mean, ideally, you want them bolted to the bodywork, because if your earthing strap from the engine to the bodywork isn't any good, you're not going to be getting, you know, a proper ground through this wiring, which is why I think mine's burnt that ground out on that fuel ECU fuel relay, that one there, which you look at the size of that ground cable, that's huge. That's big gauge cable, because you've got all the earths going into one. So all of the earths off the ECU and the relays all join into that big earth cable, and then they go down there to the earthing point, which, like I say, should be or what I believe to be on the back of the cylinder head on that tab, but it's not on mine. So yeah, happy days. There's a few other bits and pieces. I need to order some contact cleaner, because there's a few, not, they're not corroded up, but I just want to make sure that all the connections are clean before I retape it, which is going to be the other issue, because I've got some self-adhesive tape that I would normally use, but for this I might look at something else. I'm going to go in a minute anyway and have a word with the old man and get on the old laptop and see what things are available, like loom wrappings, because if I'm doing this properly, I might as well spend a bit of money and get the proper wrappings, because that conduit stuff is absolute shite. And obviously if it needs to come apart for some reason, I don't want to use self-adhesive loom, because that's a nightmare to get off. It goes absolutely everywhere. So yeah, feeling a bit more cheerful today. Obviously I've bought bits and pieces like that, replacement relay holders and stuff, but I can reuse them on different vehicles. It's not a problem. I'll keep them in stock. So at least we're going forward with this now, and the loom's in a lot better condition than what I thought it was, so happy days. Obviously the injectors are no good, because whoever took them out has cut the tops off, and I don't think you can get those rubber hoses off. I think they're specific to that part number of those beige injectors, so I think that will be going in the bin with everything else.